Built with the same steel and craftsmanship as Titanic, constructed alongside her in Belfast, and with the purpose of serving as a tender, the little-known Nomadic is the only surviving vessel from the White Star Line fleet. So, what's the history of the SS Nomadic? In 1912, Titanic was the largest ship ever made. Too large, in fact, to dock at some of the ports that it would visit. This problem was solved with Nomadic. 230 feet long, 37 feet wide, and weighing 1,273 tons, Nomadic was a small but elegant vessel that would ferry first and second class passengers to and from Titanic. Nomadic was also loaded with luggage, mail, and various other supplies that Titanic needed. The colour of paint used on the vessel was identical to Titanic's, and much of the design and fittings of her interior spaces were a reverberation of the larger liner, including her tables, chairs, benches, lavatories, windows, woodwork and joinery. On April 10, 1912, when Titanic arrived at Cherbourg, Nomadic docked alongside her, transferring many of the now famous passengers to the Titanic story, such as Molly Brown, Benjamin Guggenheim, John Jacob Astor, the richest man on the ship, with his young wife Madeline, Sir Cosmo Duff Gordon and his wife, and the famous actress Dorothy Gibson, to name a few. In 1917, during the First World War, the French requisitioned Nomadic, and she served as an auxiliary minesweeper until May 1919, where she resumed her former role as a tender. In 1940, Nomadic returned to Cherbourg, but rather than serving as a tender, she was given the difficult task of transporting thousands of British soldiers so that they could escape from the surrounding German soldiers. She then made her own escape past German U-boats and mines across the English Channel, and served the rest of the war as an evacuation ship and then an accommodation ship. After the war, Nomadic served again as a tender until 1968, when she was purchased and turned into a floating restaurant in Paris along the River Seine. In 2006, Nomadic was bought by the Northern Ireland Department for Social Development, and she returned from France to Belfast. Now restored to her White Star Line appearance, she rests in the original dry dock where she was built all those years ago, and is a major visitor attraction in the city's Titanic Quarter. Nomadic is the closest thing today to walking the decks of Titanic, and is an absolute must-see for anyone interested in the story of Titanic.